Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and a few weeks ago I shared this tag. I was really happy with this tag. It was quite a simple make, and I was so pleased I actually shared it on social media. However, what you didn't see was actually it was part of a slightly bigger project I was working on, which was this one. So this goes into here, and it's, I don't know whether you call it a stuffed sack or stuffed bag, whatever you call it. There is a name for them, I can't remember. So it was part of a bigger project. So, and I thought, you know what, that's really nice, and lots of you liked this. I thought, you know, let's see if I can just recreate this for a video so everyone knows how I did it. Now, I cannot perfectly duplicate this, but I can certainly use all of the same techniques. It'll look slightly different when I'm finished, but I know you like that. Give you a variation on the thing. It'll also give you a few things that I'm working on, you'll see. So anyway, that's what this video is about. So I'm going to show the elements. We're going to work all the way through. It's going to be an end-to-end. Not sure how long this is going to take. Hopefully not too long. The original didn't take me too long either. It probably took me longer to decide what I was going to do before actually doing it. So let's put the elements to one side, and I'll leave them in my eyesight so I can actually see them, so I can kind of follow along with what I'm doing. So first things first, this is the little bag I started out with. Now, I've gone back through my eBay store purchases, and I've gone back through my Amazon purchases. I can't find where I bought these from. And I know I bought them a long time ago, and I think there was either 50 or 100 in a pack. And the measurements are, they're 3.5 inches wide, which I believe is 9 centimeters, by 7 1/8 tall, which is 182 millimeters. And I want to say they might be called something like lunch bags or something like that. So I've got a load of them. I use them all the time. I was first inspired to do this by my friend Gail Augustinelli, who I saw do them a long time ago as well. So it's something I've done. I've got a stash of them that I use, and then I put them into the appropriate journals or uses for them as I go along. So first of all, I need to actually get this bit started, and then we'll move away from this, do the tags, and then I can do all of the finishing up stuff in one go. So first of all, what I want to do is I don't want to stick this bit down, because obviously that's going to be the pocket. I've got myself a metal ruler. I've also got scissors and everything to hand. So I want to put something in the background here. So on the original, I actually used some of the scraps out of my rice paper scrap bag. I think there's bits of tissue in here as well. I also have pulled in bits and pieces of things like old book pages and stuff like that. So I know there's stuff that I can use as I go along. So first of all, I want to put, let's see, we'll put some book page on here. So let's pull in some old book page just to get this puppy started. So now I work quite quickly because I just by nature work quite quickly. I find these quite simple to do. I do tend to do them, so I'm not in shot there, am I? I do tend to do them in almost like a production line way of doing things. And those of you who know me know that's probably how I work most of the time anyway. So I'm just taking an old book page, tearing it down, and I'm gonna be over to one side over there with my glue stick and my glue book, because you don't need to see me glue. I'm sure you've seen people glue 1,000 times before, so no need to see that. What I'm using is just a regular, for me, it's the brand is a Pritt stick. I just use whatever glue stick I think works best, and for me, Pritt stick has been the one that's been my favourite for many years. What have I put the credit card? Well, not credit card, store card, just to smooth that down, make sure there's no air bubbles. Try and get it along the edge. So that's my first bit of interest down there. I now want to bring in something over here, something across here that's going to be a rice paper scrap or tissue paper. A little look through these. So I didn't pre-select stuff because I thought that might be of interest to see what, okay, we've got a rose that I might use. Stuff on there. That looks a bit oriental to me. Well, that might be a useful piece. Or could go with a musical theme, I suppose. So this is why even the smallest bits, like this is a tiny little bit, but you know, for a tag, that'd be perfect. A suitcase too wide? I wonder. If I do that, that might work. I wonder whether I can do... I was thinking more of a nature theme than actually doing... No, maybe we should steer away from the music, because then I tie myself into having to do a whole music theme. Let's take this piece. I quite like that piece. That could possibly go up there. So therefore I just needed something across the bottom. Actually, I saw this bit like this, didn't I? Actually, let's do that. Right, now you can use a water pen to wet rice paper to tear it. I tend to just tear it or cut it, to be honest with you. By the time I've found where I put my water pen, I've lost the will to live. There's plenty of them in this room. I just never think to look at them first, right? I think I want to put this on first. I'm not overly keen on that dark line across the top. I do like a torn edge when it comes to rice paper, purely because it almost vanishes into the background. So let's just get this bit glued up. Let's pull my book page in by here, so it's not fully in shot, but at least you can see I am doing some gluing. Now, I've torn this rice paper slightly larger than my piece, because I can just cut it down around the edges afterwards. I'm going to lift up this flap slightly, just so it's going down below the edge of that, so just give that a little bit of a smooth out. Now, the rice paper I'm using, by the way, I believe is Stamperia rice paper. I only say that because that's normally my rice paper of choice, although there are other brands in my scrap bag. Got to be careful not to cut the bag, Griffiths. Let's put that down there. Pop that over into the spare book page basket. Oh, sorry about the tearing noises. All part of the process. Right, so I've got that down there, hunky-dory, nicely done. I do want to put this in the top. Take that strand out. I think that would look really nice by there. So let's get that stuck down as well. I like to use a glue stick instead of a matte medium or something for this, because a matte medium just takes a little bit longer to dry, and I don't want to make my piece so wet that it all curls up on me. So let's just stick that over there. Slide it over. Well, I've got a few seconds to do so. Right, there you go. So that's given me an interesting background. When I've actually distressed the edges of that, that will look fine. I do need to put something on here, and I always need to, because this part of the package looks really ugly. Sorry, it does. I've got some blank music page here. I think that's what I used on the original. Near enough what I used on the original. So let's just tear this down so it's just smaller than the area it's going to cover. I like this bit of it here, so I'm going to take it off at that line. That should be fine. And all I'm doing at this point is I'm purely laying down the foundations for what I'm about to do on top. So, oh, good going, Griffiths. You tore that quite well. So sometimes I can be just a little bit hit and miss with my tearing, and then I've got to take like the odd millimetre off the edge, and it's a nightmare to tear something that small. But there you go, right. Just pop that down on there. Make sure it's not sticking over the top edge, only because I don't want it to catch anything. Make sure I've got all of the air bubbles out and everything. Let's take a glue shot out there. So basically there I am. Now, one thing I'm going to do before I actually glue this flap down is I'm going to distress that top edge, purely because it's easier to do it when it's not glued in place. So just distressing the top edge. Now, it's up to you entirely whether you distress or not. I don't always distress, and a lot of the time I won't distress until I work out which journal it's going into. So let's put the lid on the glue stick and pull out some art glitter glue and get myself a couple of bulldog clips. These are probably unnecessary, but as I'm trying to work quickly, I'm not going to stand there holding this closed when I've got a pair of bulldog clips, which will do the job equally as well. You could use whichever glue you prefer to glue these down. I'm just so used to using art glitter glue. It's the one I reach for, and I don't really think anything else. Right, just putting that by. These are unnecessary. I'm just doing it just because I'm working quickly and I don't want to hold the glue down. Right, let's put the lid top of that in there. Come on, Griffiths, there you go. Why is it? People are watching and I can't do the simplest of tasks. So we've now got the base for our bag started. So this is the final bag. As you can see, there are embellishments to still go on here, but at least I've got the basis of it done. Now we need to address this situation, which is the tags. Now what I've done here is I've utilized book pages. We all have book pages hanging around all over the place. Now I happen to have some quite big ones here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick one to the other and then stick this on top, but I'm only going to demonstrate it once because I've made up some already just because it seems stupid. I don't need to show you how to glue book pages together, but there may be a newbie out there who would like to see the gluing process. So I literally get my glue. Now I focus mainly on the edges and the corners because if it's going to come off anywhere, it's going to be coming off there. And also because I know that I'm going to be cutting these down into tag sizes. The edges, although they're important, are not mega important. This is a really stringy glue today. Some annoying tapping going on there. Gotta love annoying tapping. Right, let's put that over to one side. So I normally glue my first page. I will then take my second page, lay it over the top, and then I use a card or something just to really smooth that out. Now, I'm lucky I've got quite large book pages here. You could do the same process with smaller book pages. You could do it with spare card. You could do it with anything you want. Let's just get that unstuck from there because I've stuck it to a gluey patch. Let's give myself a little bit of a damp cloth just to clean that stuff off. So I've done that. I would then repeat that process one more time to glue that onto there. I then usually leave this overnight, or at least for a couple of hours, because that's quite a lot of glue within it. Let's put that to one side and put this to one side. Now, when they're fully dried, they're going to be almost like cardboard. Now, I've backed mine with some coffee dye paper. And that's just for doing this video. In real terms, I would cut my tag shapes, then I'd put coffee dye paper on the back, purely so I don't waste coffee dye paper. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste any time in the video. So literally, I've stuck coffee dye paper on the back. And as you can see, that's pretty substantial. You could have gone with 2 sheets of book page instead of 3, depending on the age of your book pages as to how thick you want them to be. So out of this, I'm going to make myself the one large tag, and I'm going to make 2 smaller tags. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the 2 smaller ones out of this one because I want all of the text on there. If I didn't care about the edges, that wouldn't be an issue. And anything that's spare, I can just come up and I can just use it for something else. So, right. Now, there is an argument saying that you could have actually cut the edges off first. I could have done, yes, but it also depends on, I'm not always sure what I'm going to be using the book pages for. And I say that because a lot of the time I will prepare these book pages in advance and just have them in my stash. So it means that if I'm going to do a project like this, I don't actually have to wait overnight or a few hours. I've already got some prepared. And it is something I do to use up all book pages. Right, now, all of these bits here, today I'm throwing these in the bin. You could keep these. You could make mini tags out of them, anything. But just to make sure I'm working quickly today, this is what we're going to do. Now, I'm going to stick with the measurements that I made for the originals. So, this tag is, let's do it this way around so we all see it together, is 3 and is that 1/16 or 2/16? 1/8. 3 and 1/8. I get confused by this dot. And it's almost 8 centimeters I need a longer ruler, Griffiths. This one is 6.5-ish, which is 162 millimeters-ish by 3. Oh, it's the same size, you silly numpty, you've already done that. Right, I'm going to just cut this down to the sizes I need. So that's just about there. And I've forgotten already how tall this was. Sorry, I work in inches, guys. If I call that 6.5, it'll be good. Let's go from this end. That's 6.5. So this gives me this tag shape. Then I want to look at my smaller ones. Now, I do 2 different sizes of small ones purely because it gives me a variation in the pocket. So I do think, though, they're both the same, the width. So this is, turn it over so you can see, this is just past 1 3/4 inches by almost 3.5 by 2 notches under 5 centimeters by 8.5 centimeters. This one would be the same width. There you go, it's 53 millimeters by 10. I can't say that, 108 millimeters. You can see I struggle with millimeters, can't you? That's 4 3/16, and that's 2 1/8. Right. I'm not going to write those down because, to be honest with you, because of the size of the size of these ones can vary. The reason I measure this one so exactly is because it needs to fit into my sack. So I always check this one fits before I do anything else. Now I've given myself some leeway here. The measurements I'm using basically are the measurements for these tags for me. I would say in your instance, go ahead and measure whatever you've got in front of you when you manage to get the sacks. So let me just double check I've got to get this right. So if I call this, that's 2 inches. And let's just go by eyesight just about there. Now this would actually have given me a smaller tag again, so I'm going to put that to one side, not going to waste. That's that one done, that's that one done, and this one just needs to be done. Yeah, let's call this 2 inches as well. It's not an exact science when it comes to this. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's see if I've got a side I like better. Yeah, maybe that side. Right. Just under that word, and that will be that one. Now I've got pieces left here. This will become another tag. This could become a really long thin tag, could even become a belly band on a book. So I do have a few spare pieces. Those will go out of reach. The little bits that are left over, yes, I could do stuff with this. Am I going to? Well, I could punch a hole in that and have a hanging tag, I suppose. This bit's going in the trash. Right, that's all the cutting with the, what am I calling it? With the guillotine. So hopefully that noise is not going to annoy anyone anymore. Now, because I've already got one of these made, I'm literally going to cut the sides, the corners off these using the existing tags, making sure that I don't actually snip through my existing finished tag. So that's one. Now you could, of course, use any tags you've already got from your own stash. Just for me, it was important to keep them all of the same kind of theme. So that's why I've done what I've done. And let's see if I can do this larger one without snipping through the ribbon of the existing one. So these are a great thing to make as something that can be clipped into a journal. It can be stuck into a journal. It can be used to tuck. It can actually be an individual piece as well. So I like it when I can get multi-uses out of stuff. Right, now these are all sort of got the same idea as far as patterns and designs go. So I went straight ahead and I did them all in one go. Right, where have I got my hole punch? Right, first things first, let's get a measurement on this. So it's just about there. I'm not going to obsess and make sure it's absolutely perfectly centered, but I would like something that looks similar to the center. So I'm going to pull in my mat, because from here on in I want to do stuff that's kind of all at the same time. I'm going to turn that, should leave it there, right. So I've got my pieces on the go. Now this is where it's up to you as to what you have to work with in the first place. I recently found this on eBay in an auction. There were a couple of stamps I managed to get, and I do tend to look for job lots or bulk stamps that are already pre-loved. And this, according to this, is a Stampin' Up one. I have no idea what it's called. I'm sure it's going to be called something like Clock Face or something. And I'm going to use black archival. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this. Let's just do it this way around, it's probably easier. I like stamping onto the stamp, putting the pad to the stamp, not the stamp to the pad, should I say. I'll make sure I've got that well inked up. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp across the three of them there, and that'll give me some detail. And I'm going to come in one more time, and I'm probably going to put a bit down there and another bit there. So as you can see, in one foul swoop, I've done all the stamping that was needed on that to start with. Now, from here, I'm going to put this by. I've got more work to do on these. Now, I do have this stamp, and this next bit could have been done with any leaf or foliage or grass stamp that you might have. This one, there is no name on it, because when I got this stamp, it was just a sheet of rubber, and I had an old stamp block where I didn't like the stamp, so I peeled that off and I stuck this one on, because why not? I've got a stamp block. I like my stamps on a block, not always an acrylic one. So I'm just going to pull those out. Now I'm going to come in, just going to pick up ink, and I'm going to randomly put my little bits of greenery around this, just not caring. And I think that's the trick to working quickly. Just get the stuff on the project. Now, I will at some point come back in and do a little bit more of this stamping after I've actually put pieces on here, because when I put rice paper and stuff on here, it's going to cover up things. So just a little bit at the top there. Now, as you can see, I'm very much a production line type of crafter. I like to get things done. I like to get them done quickly. Now, while I've got this on the go, I'm going to pull back in my sack. It's obviously all ready to go now. And what I'm going to do is, there wasn't a lot of green on the original, but I just want to bring in a hint of it. And what this will do is it will tie the theme of everything in together. Just a little bit here and there. It's a bit tricky when it comes to the edges where the bag has been folded, but I don't worry too much about it. A little bit over there as well. A little bit over there. So as you can see, I'm starting to make a coherent theme. So I'm going to put this to one side because we will use this again later. So right, we've got all of this bit done. So I've now got the basis for everything started. Where should we go to next? Let's go back to the bag, because we've got the bag on the go now. So I can probably get the bag done reasonably quickly, because there's not a huge amount left to do with this one, except to add elements. Let's take that out of the way. Sorry, I feel like I'm rushing, and I don't need to rush. I'm just in one of those gotta get it done moods. So right, I'm going to pull in some elements. So I had a flower sticker on the original. Let's keep the original here so that you have a reference point to see what I'm looking at and working with. So someone did ask me, how do I store my ephemera? It's an ongoing discussion. I do have an ephemera folder, but I'm finding lately I'm using these boxes, these clear boxes, and I've had these for years because I used to use them for other stuff. And I'm finding I like them because they're shallower, I can see more within them, and also I don't have to open the box to know what's in there. Oh, that's way too big. Now I'm thinking if I'm going to put a flower there, it needs to be quite tall and thin. And actually that's quite tall and thin. Shall I put that on there? There is some blue in that. There is roses down there. I'm not sure actually I want that on there. I'm wondering. I'm thinking this is quite busy enough. What I might do is I might put something else up there other than a flower. I'll just have a quick look and see what's in here. I need to get some fussy cut flowers done, definitely. I'm running low on flowers. I think we're going to skip the flowers. I'm not feeling the flowers. I've got this. Now these are some tickets I made, and all I've done this is just washi tape onto brown coffee dyed paper, and I've cut around with a crinkly edged scissors, and I'm thinking that one of those might go up there quite nicely. Actually that one might be even nicer. Okay, I'm liking that. That one's staying there. Right, we'll do the bottom in a second. I just want to make sure that I get pieces on there as I find them. So I am going to distress this. Come here, you. I am going to distress this just to frame it out so it stands out a little bit from the background. And I'm going to use art glitter glue because it's just a bit quicker for me. So we've got a beautiful day here in Wales. I've done me and my domestic life. I've done 2 loads of washing and I've got it on the line. And I went out at lunchtime to double check and I'm like, you know, this might actually dry today. It's been so long since I've been able to put washing on the line. Okay, right, that's where we're at with that. Let's pop a little, get the pin back in this thing. There you go. So we're almost there. Now I did like this idea, and I think because I've got something beautiful there, I might do the numbers or something down there. So let's pull out my numbers. Right, anyone who's been watching knows I snip and harvest numbers from numerous different places. That might work by there. Right, okay, that was an easy one, wasn't it? Right, just a little bit of stress on the edge. There is a video of me harvesting numbers or how I harvest numbers. If I remember, I'll put it in the description box. But if it's not there, please forgive me. I will try and remember to do it. So, right, so this is just there. I'm just going to lift up the pocket slightly. Might be easier to do it on the side. Slip that in there. Slide it across to where I want it. Try and make sure it's kind of straight. That's not bad. I mean, there's going to be stuff over the top at some point anyway. Right, so there you go. So that's a newer version of that. I think it's time that we dug out some labels now. Now, let's put these by. Now, I do have lots of different labels. Lots of them I make myself. So these are washi tape, these are rice paper labels that I've actually just stamped the frame around scraps and pieces and cut them out. These ones I've already discussed. These ones are, I want to say those are Tim Holtz. I don't know who these are though. I don't keep manufacturer names and stuff. These are labels that I've cut out of book pages, or I think those may even be parts of an Edith Holden book, I'm not sure. Or I've stamped some background and made a masterboard from. And I want to say these are Tracy Fox labels, which are a digital download. And Tracy has an Etsy shop, which is Love Junk Journals. All of the above said and done, let's get sticking down. So right, I can already see I've got one that's almost identical to that. So I'm going to pop that on there because I've just seen it. And then I want to find some of these, which I'm absolutely certain was a Tracy Fox label. I need to cut some more Tracy Fox labels. That might be a bit dark for there. Actually, that might work. I think I got, I got that out of a book. And I wanted one small one if I can find it. Is there a teeny one in here somewhere? There usually is. Trouble is, I normally drop them and lose them. I could have sworn I had some really small ones. Let's see if I've got some in the ones that I've cut. And maybe some in the rice paper ones. Because I know there was a really small one at one point. There you go, some small ones. Let's go with that one. Okay, right. Just time to get those on. We'll sort butterflies out later on. I'm not bothered that it's not being done immediately. As I said, this is sort of a production line feel to stuff. I will distress the edges of these. I won't distress the edge of the rice paper because I can assure you it's a bit of a nightmare trying to distress it when it's such a soft medium to distress with. This needs, the edge is just taking back a bit. That's just a little bit stark for what this design is. So as you can see, it doesn't take too long, guys, to just piece things together. And as I said, every time I do these, they're slightly different. I mean, I cannot in any way, shape or form repeat a design perfectly because every element I'm using is a unique element. But I can use the same format. I mean, I could make a note of this sack and go, right, every time I do it, I'm going to do this element, this element, this element, this format. And because they're not normally in the same journal, no one's going to know. And it's just, it takes the thinking out of it. I do like to take my time though and decide what goes where because I like the aesthetics. I like to be able to see where things are going to be. It doesn't look overly straight. Am I still in shot? I'm still in shot. Right, I would say there's one more step to do, which for me is to distress around the edge of this bag, and then I'll call this bag or sack. I'll call it done, all barring the butterfly, which is one of the last things I'm going to do on here. I'm just going to a little bit more over the top of that because that was looking a bit grey to me. Okay, so I think it's time that I put those up the top because they're done, except for the butterfly, as I said. Right, we've now got these are the originals. Are these in shot? They are now. Right, and these are my newer pieces. So, right, what do I need to do now? Right, this needs a hole reinforcer for a start. Now, my hole reinforcers come on a roll and they're white. I know you can get them in sheets as well. To actually get mine to this coffee colour, all I do is just grab a piece of paper. I'll take a strip, so let's just take a strip out of here. All I'll do is I'll put a strip of the white ones down. I'll get my vintage photo and I will just rub them over the top. I'm sure there's other ink pads you could be using to do this as well. And that's just the way I take the whiteness off them, and it gives it more of a vintage effect. If you've got a large amount of these hole reinforcers, sometimes it's nice to do a variation in all of your different ink colours, and that way it gives you some choices just to add a splash of colour to a tag or a piece of ephemera you're making up. So let's take these out now. These are fairly old, these, so I tend to put a bit of glue on the back of them just for peace of mind. Pop you over there. And also it means if there's a bit of glue on the back, I can slide them around while I'm positioning them if I haven't hit the mark perfectly in the first place. Off you come. There you go. So that's done some housekeeping on there, and that's tidied up. Oh, that's the glue stick rolling over the desk. I just need to wipe my hands off a second, guys. My hands are getting very, very sticky at the moment. So we've got that much done. Right, I do have a bit of sari silk. I use sari silk. I buy it on eBay. I basically search sari silk, and that's as much as I do, and then I buy whatever I need. There are some wonderful colour sari silks out there, although I do know you can use seam binding, you can use ribbon, you can use twine. Anything you wish is fair game as far as I'm concerned. Any fibres you want. Right, so we've got bits on here. Now my next step is, I'm going to move this up so I can see them. Can you still see them? Yeah, you can still see them. I'm going to come in because the next element I did was I put some of those rice paper labels on here. So I'm just going to bring those back in and have a look and see. Now, I look as if I've got, because this is the bag, this is the sort of colour I would probably look for, but I can go reasonably dark, and there is a rose there, or is it a gardenia? Oh, I think it is rose. So I will bear that in mind. So immediately I can see this is dark and it's got roses on. Maybe that will go there. Not sure. Let's leave that one there while I'm talking. I think it might feel a little big for me, to be honest. Looks like a rose leaf. Again, that feels a little bit big. That's not a rose. That doesn't bother me. I'm looking for vertical ones, if the truth be told. Well, actually, that might be a better one. Okay, I think that's the winner so far. It's finding the right size for me. Oh, look, there's a snail on it. Isn't that cute? Pity it's too... Oh, yeah, it's too big. Or... Actually, I'm liking that better. Right, I'm going to change tack and put that one on there. Oh, there's one that's almost exactly the same as the other one I just did. Right, changing my mind once again. Do I like that better? I do, because it's got wings on. We'll save our little friend Sid the snail for another day. Okay, that's not the right colour blue, but looking through this box, I thought that was on screen. Looking through this box, I'm not sure that I've got the right colour blue anyway. That's a nice one. Feels a little too big for that tag. Sorry, the process is grinding to a halt while I'm making decisions. I think that one will go there. I want one smaller one. Are they the same size? They are the same size. I just want one smaller tag, one smaller label to go on the little tag. And I don't mind if it's tiny, tiny. Oh, that's quite cute. That's a little bit lost. Oh, there's one with a rose right in the middle of it. I don't think it's going to be seen though. It's too small. It's too faint. Let's grab these. Sorry guys, this is just part of the process, as I said. So I quite like that blue. Let's put... It's not the same blue, but it's a family thing. Let's put the blue by there. Right, I think we're going to call those done, or else I can stay for hours fussing around with stuff. So it's probably not a good idea to be doing that with all of you watching. So right, let's get... Oh, come back here, mister. So let's get this one stuck on. Well, let's get all of them stuck on and then move on. Now, a lot of the time I will commit, and that means that I will find something like this label and I will immediately stick it down. And I will do that because, as you've seen, I will procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate. But by sticking something down, I've committed to that and I'm happy to do that. If I'm doing something and I've got all the time in the world, I will audition pieces up against it and I'll maybe put this here and that there, and I've dropped it. Mess around, but a lot of the time everything's on a schedule and I'm like, right, I really do need to get this sorted, so I tend to work quite quickly. Right, so that's given me my 3 elements on there. Now I do know in the originals I use scraps of rice paper as well. So let's pull back in the rice paper pieces. Now this might be an opportunity to pull an element from the front into the back, because see, we've got that rose again here. So I just need to see what is in here. I did like that, didn't I? There kind of is a sort of letter theme about some of this. The only place that's going to go is there, and I think it's too dark. Might like to put some of this in. I'd like to be able to name for you all of the sheets that I've used. It ain't going to happen. I can't tell you which different designs I've pulled off here. These are just ones I've picked up as I've gone along. Okay, I don't mind that down there. That's one piece sorted. There's this little scrap. That's not working for me. No, that's too pale. No, actually, that's not too pale. Let's take this little element off there. And actually, that little bit may work on there. Right. So I want something over that blank area. And actually, I might just pop that down there. Right, let's get those 3 pieces on and then move on. Let's get the rice paper out of here. It's flying all over the place. So let's get this piece down. Mine shot not quite, but as we said, you don't need to see me gluing. It's a process we've all done 1,000 times, I'm sure. And just line that up with the edge. Come in and smooth that down. Now, any areas like this where it's going to be seen, don't worry, because we're going to cover it with the distressing when I go around the edges anyway. Come on, yep. It's all sticking to me and not to anything else. I'll spot you right in the middle there. I'd like it to be relatively straight. And then this one. You could, if you're using, I mean, I'm using rice paper here. If you're using a napkin for this, you're going to have to put the glue stick onto the base and not onto the back of the napkin, because it's too thin. It's never, ever, ever going to hold up. You'll end up tearing so many bits of it. So, right, so that's a good start to those. I think I will take that out of the way now. So, right. I'm going to move those over there just because they're kind of distracting me. I'm trying to copy them when actually at this point I don't need to copy them. I've got things relatively on the go. Right, I like numbers, so I'm going to pull in some numbers. We've already seen the numbers. So there's this lot and there's this lot. So these numbers here are just numbers that I've stamped myself. I'm sure most of us have some supply of number stamps. So I'll use that one, I think. Just want a little bit of distress around the edge of that just to frame it out. So yes, so I tend to stamp my own numbers, and I harvest numbers from magazines and telephone directories, and anywhere I can get hold of a number, I will certainly do my best to take it out of there. This one's a little larger and could possibly carry something a little bigger. Yes, let's put that on there. Stamping your own numbers and words, by the way, is a great way to use up scrap pieces of coffee dye paper and the likes. I do it a lot. I know several other crafters do it a lot. I know Gail Custanelli definitely does it. Poor Gail has continually got a box full of things that need stamping into labels. So, but then Gail produces a lot more journals and ephemera than I do. So, and the process naturally produces more and more scraps and stuff. No matter how good you are, you will always generate more and more scraps. Right, do I want any other labels on there? This one feels... Now, I'm going to be putting like a definition label on some of these as well, so I don't want to get too buried in the number thing. I do quite like... I really enjoy this process, and the trouble is... Oh, look, it's got the same blue. Is that the same blue? Right, let's put that blue on one of these. Maybe in the middle of there. And this one just needs a little something. That feels too large. What's that little itty bit down there? Come on, out you come. Yeah, I used to keep all my labels like this in tins and folders, but I was finding the trouble was I could never find anything because I spent so much time digging down to the bottom of my trays that I missed a load of stuff. So I tend to now keep them in these because at least I can move them around and look at them. I'm wanting a little something, and I think I will just take that 1895 out of there. Don't ever feel that you can't cut things up. I know that the manufacturers have made them and they're all packaged beautifully for you. But you know what? If you want to cut things up, cut things up. I will very often, like with the Tim Holtz figures, if I've got a Tim Holtz figure that's sitting down, actually, let's see if I can find one. Okay, here's a Tim Holtz figure who's sitting down. Right, if I don't want a sitting down figure, there you go. I've now got a figure that can be used on something that doesn't have to have legs. Okay, I know that sounds really obvious, but I will do that. Because some of the sitting down figures I never use. But the moment I do this, I could easily put that on there, and then that's that one finished. So when you look at these figures, these paper dolls, don't think of them, you have to leave them as you are. Cut them apart. If you've got two people and you like one of them, cut the other person off. And at the end of the day, it's your ephemera. Right, gossiping on, and I really need to be sticking stuff down. Let's use art glittered glue for these, it's quicker. I've forgotten where I was going to put this bit now. Oh no, I haven't remembered. Put that up there. If I've got time when I've finished this, and I will look at the clock when I finish this, if I've got time, I will potentially pull over some of the other ones I've already done of this. No guarantees, because I don't want this to be a huge long video. But you never know, I might just do that. Because we are doing quite well as far as I can see. Like that down there. And this little one, I'm really pleased I found something that's the right colour blue. Let's put it down a bit. I try not to line things up at the top edge because then the eye naturally wants to find a balance, and maybe I haven't intended there to be a balance. So right, let's lay that down there. Right, I think we can do without the numbers anymore. As I said, I do want to put a couple of definition or specimen labels on these. Now, obviously, I could have used tickets, I could have used raffle tickets, I could have used anything I wanted on these. So this is just my example of what I'm going to do. Now, look at these. I had an idea for something. I've completely forgotten what it was. No, I haven't. I've just remembered. Right, where are we? Right. This set of stamps, this is by a company that's local to me called Visible Image. They're here in Wales. But you can do this with any single stamp set you want. I'm looking for a little butterfly, and this had the most appropriate butterfly I could find. Sorry about the tinkling in the background. So I just wanted to use it. As you can see, it's a well-loved set of stamps. And I'm just going to come in, I'm going to put this on a block because it's just easier for me to handle. I find when I've been gluing, I get sticky fingers. Now I'm using sepia archival here, purely because it's a colour I actually quite like. Now I'm going to use this to put an element into here. Put it in, give it an even press down. Cross my fingers and I hope it's done. There, that's enough for me, that's fine. Going to come in on another one. Now people ask me, why do I stick things where I stick them? I can't answer that, guys. Other than saying the more you do, the more it will become natural for you to decide where to put pieces. Now this one is actually going to have a real butterfly on it, as we did in the real one, but I would like to add a little butterfly down here, just because I know the butterfly I'm going to place is up there. This will balance it down. It's just subtle in the background, but I really like the subtlety of it. Now, before I go on to do anything more, I do know that I want to put those definition stamps on. I also need to do a little bit more of this, so I'm going to, not definition, specimen labels. So going back to the Tracy Fox ones, this, by the way, this digital kit is huge. This is a really poor representation, other than it's been used to death and I need to print it again to actually get more stuff out. Can you see that? No, you can't because I'm out of shot. So basically, this is just the remnants of it. This kit has so much labelling in it. I think undecided about that one. So I'm just going to go through and I want a couple of little definition labels, because if you know me, you know that I like layers upon layers upon layers. I'd like to recut one of these. Oh look, Department of Agriculture. That might sit right well there. It'll go on the other side. Come on, off you come. I can't pick things up today. No, I'm not feeling that. Oh, actually, no, not loving that there either. Right, if I can't find what I'm looking for, there could be another solution. I don't mind that there. Right, put that one there. And what we're going to do is, see this one here? I'm actually going to make it into a smaller tag, a smaller set of labels. So as you can see, literally, you can cut anything you already own apart and make something new out of it. If I could cut straight, it would be a benefit. I'm going to cut this into two without snipping my fingers apart, because I want that stamp, but I wanted it smaller. So, right, just get rid of the little bits and pieces. I can see I've just got to tidy up the odd little bits of the corner. Probably no one's going to notice them except me, but I've noticed them, so they have to go, or else that's all I will see when I look at this piece. And there you go, so that's sorted. So bringing these in, I'm just going to stick this lot down. I need to do some distressing around these, because this is quite a white or light piece. So I'm catching the edge, but I'm also angling the sponge so it catches the top as well. So as you can see, I've now given that a bit more aging. So I'll come in with these, just catch little bits on them. And once again on here. And then I think, guys, we've just got a little bit of stamping to do. Then I've got to put, I wonder, this one isn't, I'm going to put it that way. Change of mind. Pop that over there. I like the way it leads the eye down and around. Please move slightly. There you go. This one is going to go on here. Now, not every piece needs to be a huge work of art. Remember, these are all meant to be part of an ensemble. That's a big word, isn't it? Ensemble of all of the pieces. So I'm looking to make a grouping, not necessarily with everything exactly the same. I think I'm going to pop that up there over that number. Do I mind if it's covered the number? No, I don't. Right. Okay, let's put this to one side. So now we're almost at the end of the construction of the tags. So I'll come in, and now I want to distress these. And I want to distress these now before I put the butterfly on this one especially, because I don't want the butterfly to look as if it's dirty because I've distressed it, but I do want the tag in the background to look a little bit distressed. And this is the point at which I would do this process. Now I'm using vintage photo. You can use whichever colour you want or not do it at all. As I said, your artwork, your way. That's that one done. See, they're being want a little bit in there, just because that's a little bit paler than I'm liking. So hopefully this is something you're finding interesting, guys. I like doing these. I tend to do these. These are the sort of things that I can do one in maybe half an hour if I'm on my own. What I would do is, as I said, if I've already got those book pages already stuck together in my stash, then it doesn't take long to do one of these. Even if I just spend the time just making the bags up and decorating the bag and sticking the pocket up, that gives me, I do the back of that? No, I didn't. That gives me one step closer to doing them, and it's not a huge project. If you don't have a lot of time, this is a great thing to do. So, right, so we've got them there. Let's put the sari silk on while I'm thinking. Now, there is always the debate, do you go from the front, do you go from the back? It doesn't matter either way. I prefer to go from the front and then pull it through, and I think that's because I like this look. It looks a bit like a bow tie. If I do it that way around, it looks like a men's tie. I like that rather than seeing that, which is 2 layers of it and it looks bulkier, so that's okay. Right, I do need to do stamping. I shouldn't have put that on till I've done the stamping, but you know what, it doesn't need a huge amount of stamping anyway. So right, see here, now that I've finished it, I can see where the lighter areas are. So I just come in and touch this, and also by going slightly over everything that's already on there, it pushes everything into the background. I don't think this one needs much at all. A little bit there, and I think it needs a little bit over that one. This one needs a touch by here, I'd like that to be covered up a bit, and I'd like to knock this into the background a bit and potentially over there. Okay, so that's all the stamping done. Let's put that out of the way there. So I think all we're down to now is just finding butterflies. So let's get rid of the originals because they're beginning to catch my eye again. I don't want them to. So I need to now find butterflies for this one and this one. These two effectively are done. They're going to tuck into the front pocket. Those bits are done. I'm not worried about them. I would like to find 2 butterflies that, if they were the same butterfly, I would be ecstatic. But knowing me, I'm probably not going to find 2 identical. So this is my storage for butterflies. It's changed recently. It used to be a tin. Now I've got to the point I was getting so frustrated that I couldn't actually look into the tin. I went, right, so I changed it up. I've got this box now. So I'm looking for butterflies of kind of this size. Let's get you out of there. Actually, that one's got quite good colouring on it. That wouldn't be a bad idea for theirs. Let's put that one to one side. Anything that catches my eye, I will keep out. Where can I put this? Right, I've put them over there. So as I said, I'd like to have 2 butterflies that are similar or the same, but not overly. Oh, that's a really good one. I like that one. I may well have a duplicate of that. And that's the one that was on the original. These glittery or these foiled butterflies, there's a store here in Britain called The Works, and last year they were selling packs of foiled butterflies, which I just happened to walk into the store when they were there. So basically I bought all they had. And I asked were they going to have any more in, and they said no, that was going to be the end of the line. So I pretty much lucked out. I walked in exactly when I needed to walk in. Right, there's 2 of those butterflies, which are the ones I used on the original. So if I don't find the teal one or the turquoise one as a duplicate, then at least I know I can do that one. Oh, is that the same one? No. Sorry, this is Ceri sharing his butterfly collection with you all, which wasn't my intent. A lot of these are fussy cut out of books. I do buy... actually, would that one work? It's quite a large one. No. I do... Sorry, being hugely distracted here. I do buy them from other people on Etsy as well. I normally would just put into the search engine fussy cut butterflies, and you'll get a load of digital downloads, but you'll also find the odd maker. Yes, I found one. There you go. You'll find the odd maker who actually will sell fussy cut butterflies. Now, I know everyone's going to say, well, you can cut them yourself. It'll be cheaper. Yeah, it will be. But you know, the most expensive commodity to me is actually time. I would rather spend an extra £1 and have someone else do all the fussy cutting, which then gives me possibly at least an hour's worth of spare time to be creating with. Right, I'm glad I found those two. So I'm just going to hit the edges of this so that they've not got any nasty white edges, because these are manufactured, and kiss cut means that they're cut by a machine. So there's always a little bit of a leeway around them when it does that sort of stuff. Right, so this one needs to go here. Probably far too much on there. Let's put it down by there. That's where it feels like it wants to go. And then this little one. Can just pop in by there. That's that one done right. Let's put the pin back in here. Where's the pin? Oh, got good at that time. Right, lids on glues, clear things off, get stuff out of my arm's way. Right. This looks like it needs something now. And I don't know what it needs. A butterfly would be the wrong choice. I'm thinking a word. Right, these are words I've stamped, or sayings, or stuff like this. I've also bought a few over the time from people on Etsy. Fabulous, I'm not sure. Be your own kind of beautiful. That's a bit your own kind of too big as well. What does this say? An unhurried sense of time in itself a form of wealth. That sort of rings for what I've just been saying. Let's put that one to one side just in case I don't find something else I really love. Self-reflection. I like the idea of that. That's another one I might put to one side. This again is another great one. Creativity is not a hobby, it's a way of life. That's the one. We're going to put that on there. Yeah, this again is strips off of spare coffee dyed paper or stuff, and I just tear it up, put it in the box, stamp on it, and I've got stuff to go. As I said, that's a trick I learned from my fabulous friend Gail Augustinelli, who has a whole box full of edges of papers and stuff like that. She produces far more than I do, but I must admit I'm pleased I don't have that much, because I would never cope. It would overwhelm me, let's put it that way. Ooh, don't lay that down in the glue, Griffiths, because that would be a huge mistake. Right, looking at the time, I think I'm going to have time to pull out some of the other versions of this I can show you with, just so you can see how effective these little bags are. Let's pop you right down with there. Let's put that out of the way. Glue on that. So here goes. So we just need to assemble it now. So this tag goes right into the back of this one. This I would put on that side. This isn't a very deep pocket, so that's why you don't need very much. So there you go. That was the one we've just made. This is the original. So there you go, staying within the theme, sort of similar look. So let me just pop off in a second over to the other side of the room, and I'll bring in the finished ephemera box. Right, let's get, I think they're all at the back here. Yes, I think that is them, right. Let's put that to one side. I need to do some work on ephemera. I'm really low in ephemera. Okay, let's have a look at some I've actually done. These are from my stash. They're ready to go. So as you can see, we have, there's the bag as we had before. I tend to like using an ATC sometimes. So most of these are ATCs and a tag. And then the tag that's in this one, oh, there's the gentleman. I just cut his legs off. Oh, sorry, mate. There you go. Right, here you go. This one, I loved this one. I did this one for a collaboration project that I shared on a Facebook group. And I kept with the musical theme. And again, there's an ATC, a small tag, and a larger tag. And I kept within the theme, and I loved that one. And it was, what was the theme? It was, I think the title of the collaboration was What's in the Love Song, which is why I went down the musical route, obviously. This one, I like owls. So that's an owl one. Oh, not a happy person, but I was thinking like one of those novels. Can't think what it was. Miss Havisham. That's who that reminded me of, and I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. I actually threw an extra ticket in this one too. So I've got the ATC, I've got the tag, and I just felt it needed a little something else, so I just tucked a ticket in there as well. So there's quite a lot you can get into one of these little tickets, little bags. Now, when you're attaching these to a page, now obviously the back looks like this. If the back is going to be exposed, what I would do is just distress it a bit, or maybe stencil something on with maybe some inks. But you can clip this into a journal. You could slot this into a big pocket. You could glue it down this side, and this side, and then have a pocket behind it as well as the pocket you've got. You could glue it down this side and this side to a page, and then it could become a tuck spot, or you could glue it here, here, and here, and have a pocket on the side. There are lots of different uses. So there goes another one. I kept that one really simple, but I liked it. Sometimes things need to be partly finished because this could use something else, but I won't know what I want to put onto it until I have the journal. So again, there was an ATC, artist trading card, and a small tag. This one, again, nice happy fella. They don't seem to be very happy on these, do they? Again, stay with the butterfly theme, ATC, and a tag. This one's a bit fresher. I was thinking more spring on this day, obviously. An ATC and a tag. And then this was, oh, that's probably why she was a happy lady. So I went springtime on that one. This one, quite a large butterfly on that one. Tried to keep within the blue theme because I had this blue piece of parchment paper. This was a Tim Holtz portrait. I literally just made it into a small journaling card. And I had a bit of stamping and what was it called, printing on there, gel printing. And then I was working on maybe a Valentine's theme one, so I went all pinks and everything, put a scribbled heart on there, stayed with the pink, again floral and ATC. So as you can see, the variety of these, you can make a load of these and put them in your stash. And I really love using these. As you can see, they're in most of the journals I make, and I put them in my own journals as well. So very happy about those. So there you go. So I think that's enough from me, actually. Let's see where we're up to. We're just past an hour. That's not bad for making 3 tags plus a lunch sack. So it's time for me to say goodbye, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I'll try and do more makes along this line as we go on. But for now, it's Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. I'm signing off. Bye-bye now.